In Asia, Turning 16 focuses its cameras on India and on teenagers and religion. How important is religion for today's youth?
It is important, but not very important. I mean, I'm not a fanatic.
I like to take good things from different religions and incorporate them in my life.
All people are, they think that their religion is most important. So they fight against it, each other, even with their brothers also.
But it's a very personal issue. I don't want to impose it on somebody else.
저도 상황하고래. 그래. 얘네야 나중에다 거기서 추위를 말이야. 하리 자고 말이야. 대체선 거기서 미리 가가네 지고래 맛이.
Sonam Puljor is a Buddhist monk, and he's 16 years old. This is his story. When the sun rises each morning over the Rumtek Monastery in northern India, Tibetan monks begin their days by chanting and memorizing Buddhist prayers. Sonam has been up since 5 in the morning and is finishing his first class of the day. Memorizing Buddhist prayers is an important part of Sonam's life. He's been living and studying at the Rumtek Monastery since he was 8 years old.
I've liked religion ever since I can remember. That's why I was interested in becoming a monk. I've never wanted to spend my life as a layperson. For me, religion is important because it helps people and it helps the world. If you are intelligent and you know your scriptures well, you can become a lama and direct people onto the right path.
Tibetans are considered one of the most religious peoples in the world. And having a monk in the family is highly respected. It's common for Tibetans to send one of their children to a Buddhist monastery. For some families, it's also a practical way to give their kids a good education.
When I was 8 years old, my mother asked me if I wanted to become a monk, and I said yes, I did. When I saw the Rumtek Monastery for the first time, it made me very happy.
Sonam was born in northern India and is the youngest of 3 children. His parents live in the region some 200 kilometers from the monastery, but he only sees them once a year. For Sonam, the monastery has become his home, the monks his new family, and Buddhism a way of life.
I don't believe in fooling around with girls, drinking beers, and being lazy. I don't like those things at all. But I like everything about being a monk, especially being around the lamas and living in the monastery. I don't believe monks should get married. I have no intentions of getting married in this lifetime. It's not even on my mind.
When Sonam first came to Rumtek, he took the 4 main Buddhist vows: to abstain from sexual activity and alcohol, to be non-violent, and to pursue enlightenment. If Sonam remains a monk for the rest of his life, he'll end up taking 253 vows. Although life for the monks can be quite disciplined, Wednesday is a free day, and soccer is always on the agenda. Once the betting is settled, Sonam takes up his favorite position as goalkeeper. At the Rumtek Monastery, all of the monks follow a strict program of Buddhist studies when they're young. But not all of them end up pursuing their education. Some monks are more inclined to music and ritual. Others, like Sonam, are better suited to a life of service.
If you have no knowledge nor wish to learn more, you cook and clean. You cannot go higher or lower. But the better you do in your studies, the higher you move in position. If you don't do well in your studies, you're assigned the job of cooking and cleaning, regardless of your age. For example, if my teacher wasn't very knowledgeable, he wouldn't be teaching. But if I was more knowledgeable, I'd become his teacher, even if I'm younger than him.
When Sonam first came to Rumtek, he was offered to Yeltsab Rinpoche, one of the 4 high-ranking lamas at the monastery. Today, Sonam cooks for Rinpoche, serves him meals in his quarters, and runs errands when necessary.
When I first came to the monastery, I missed my parents and brothers a lot. I was young then, and I didn't know what an honor it was to be serving such an important lama. Gradually, I became accustomed to the monastery and grew close to my Rinpoche. I grew so fond of him that when I returned home for a visit once, I missed him the whole week and was eager to return to Rumtek. What I like the most is that I have an opportunity to serve Rinpoche, even if I don't get to study that much. I have no thoughts of traveling to other countries or eating expensive foods. My only hope is to serve Rinpoche well.
Like most of the monks at Rumtek, Sonam is Tibetan, but he's never been to his homeland. His country was occupied by the Chinese army in the 1950s, and thousands of Tibetans were forced into exile. At the time, Sonam's parents risked their lives by crossing the Himalayas and seeking refuge in India. On a clear day, Sonam can see those same mountains from the monastery.
The Chinese have been occupying our land for a long time. They've been controlling Tibet from before the time I was born. It's been many years and they still haven't given us back our land. I think Tibet will regain its independence one day, but with many difficulties. Look at the situation today when Tibetans protest against the Chinese occupation. They are beaten and thrown in prison.
The Rumtek Monastery was set up in exile in the 1950s as a result of the Chinese occupation. Today, the monastery is home to over 500 monks and is the main seat of the Kagyu lineage, one of Tibet's 4 Buddhist groups. The head of the Kagyu lineage is the Karmapa, Rumtek's spiritual leader. Since the 12th century, 16 different Karmapas have led the Kagyu lineage, all of them reincarnations of the previous leader. The 16th Karmapa, seen here, was the last to live in Rumtek, but he died in 1981.
When a Karmapa dies, he leaves clues about where his reincarnation will appear and who it will be. He can even describe the person.
In the Kagyu tradition, the clues are left behind in a letter that's handwritten by the Karmapa and then hidden in a secret location. When the 16th Karmapa died, he hid the letter in a talisman, and it remained there for 11 years. Finally, in 1992, the letter was uncovered, and information about the new Karmapa was found. When the Karmapa's reincarnation was found in a small village in Tibet, Kagyu Buddhists from around the world came to see him. At his enthronement ceremony, the new Karmapa was officially sworn in, even though he's only 7 years old. Before his death, the 16th Karmapa groomed 4 High Lamas to carry out his duties and to serve as teachers to the new Karmapa. One of the 4 is Yeltsab Rinpoche, Sonam's High Lama and master.
The Karmapa is our head, our top Lama. We are living in his monastery on his land. Everyone in Rumtek will be happy when they see the new Karmapa.
Following the enthronement of the 17th Karmapa, Rumtek begins to prepare for the arrival of His Holiness. Renovation of the monastery is a priority, and construction projects are undertaken. The monks at Rumtek are hoping that the 17th Karmapa will arrive in time for Losar, the Tibetan New Year. In the monastery's printing shop, an older monk runs off new prayer flags for the upcoming Losar celebrations. In the Buddhist tradition, the flags are hung outdoors so the wind can recite the prayers and purify the material world. For Tibetans, Losar is an important holiday because it's the day when everyone adds 1 year to their age. In the Tibetan tradition, birthdays aren't celebrated. This year, Sonam will be turning 16. And like most kids his age, Sonam is learning how to drive. Often, he practices with this Jeep around the monastery. Sometimes, he gets to drive to Gantok, a town located 20 kilometers from Rumtek. Gantok is the biggest town in the region, and Sonam always does his shopping here. Like most of the monks, Sonam receives a monthly allowance from the monastery for clothing and personal needs. Sometimes he gets extra money from his parents.
The most important things in life are religion and knowledge. Money does not last. One could have a large amount of money today, but eventually it will be spent in a few days or months. Religion and knowledge are things that can't be spent or lost. They can't be taken away from you. What you learn stays with you forever.
Losar, the Tibetan New Year, is only 1 week away, but already the ceremonies have started. In the monastery, the monks are holding daily rituals, or pujas. Run 18 hours a day for 7 days and end on the eve of Losar. For most of the monks, the pujas are demanding and require a lot of discipline. To help keep the monks going, especially the younger ones, hot tea is served every hour. The expected visit of the 17th Karmapa is an inspiration for the monks. Everyone here hopes he'll make it for New Year. On the eve of Losar, Sonam and his roommate put the finishing touches on their work for the Mahakala ceremony.
Losar choba shimiare. Hal puya. Na kunda dishara de la choba sham ti don le tinzo ko de de don le. Losar choba chisani losar choba chisani de la hal pu de hal puya.
Karis dersa.
Di mare sama. Martin la tsuchi gar tsu manzu di tambare.
The two monks have been working on these offerings for several days. Both know the offerings will melt once they are put in the fire. For Tibetan Buddhists, this ceremony symbolizes the ephemeral nature of the material world. On New Year's Day, Sonam is invited to a special Losar meal at the home of Dala and Ashi, two close friends of the late Karmapa. Dala and Ashi have lived in Rumtek for nearly 30 years, and their home has hosted many Losar activities. Losar is a festive holiday, a time to dance and wishes for the new year. That night, news arrives that the 17th Karmapa is stuck in Tibet and won't make it to the monastery. For Sonam and everyone in Rumtek, the news casts a shadow over the Losar celebrations, a dark reminder that their homeland is still controlled by the Chinese. In the courtyard of the monastery, the Mahakala ceremony is starting. The Mahakala is the Tibetan protector deity, and its effigy is burned to absolve mortal sins. Tibetans also believe that the Mahakala is the eye of wisdom, with the power to see the past, present, and future. For Sonam, the past brings to mind his family, and a link that still runs deep.
It's very important for me to be grateful to my parents and pay them back somehow for all their support. To do this, I must pursue my religion and be as knowledgeable as possible. Without knowledge, I cannot be grateful towards my parents. If I can make my parents happy and proud, I'll have shown them my gratitude. If I should make them sad or unhappy, I'll have sinned.
Service and devotion are Sonam's callings as a Buddhist monk. His path to enlightenment. What does the future hold for Sonam? And where will he be 16 years from now?
When I'm 32, my main wish will be to serve Rinpoche. I'll have no desires to work for someone else. I won't be lazy, and I won't be vain.